This is Watch It All About with another watch review. This time we're looking at Nite's latest offering, that is the Icon. It comes in a number of styles. For instance, this one is a stainless steel dial, but it also comes with a black dial, completely PVD coated watch, another version with larger tritium tubes as well. So there is quite a large selection you can go for. The price ranges from £300 to £400. 300 being the standard one with a leather strap, and then 380 is this one with the bracelet. And then if you want to go for one of the Icons with the larger tritium tubes, then it goes up to £400 with the bracelet, or 320 with the leather strap. So as you can see here, I've got the stainless steel dial with the bracelet. We'll see if it's a decent watch for the money. This one is 380, and although it is a quartz movement, we can look into the various aspects of it to see if it is a decent value watch for the money. So as you can see, it's a stainless steel dial, which is quite unusual. It's nice the way that when you rotate the watch, get the light at different angles. The reflection follows it around. It's always a nice feature to see. I did initially think that it would be quite hard to read because the hands are also stainless steel, but they're polished. But it's actually not too bad at all, because the hands are polished and create quite a contrast to the dial itself. So you can always read it at various angles. Because they reflect the light in a completely different way, so that's pretty good. On the dial as well, we have these applied. Everything's applied actually, apart from the minute track around the outside, and also the small writing at the bottom, which is T25 and Swiss movement. Everything else is applied, which is a lot of items really. We have the tritium tubes on every hour marker. And then the 1 to 12 are larger numbers, and then 13 to 24 ever so slightly smaller, and on the inside we have the Nite logo itself, and also Icon and 100 meters in the bottom corner. All these applied items are actually really well made and really well finished, as you'll be able to see when we get the macro lens out later on. They're pretty much flawless, and they're all polished as well, so they reflect the light really well if you catch it just right. The only one thing I would say about them is I would have liked to see them be a little bit thicker or deeper, because I think it would have looked ever so slightly higher quality. But it's not. I'm not complaining about it really. I just think it would have been a little bit nicer. So they're a really good touch to this watch, and I think it makes it look really good. It makes it stand out as well. So the hands, as you can see, are quite large sword styles. The hour and the minute hand. They have tritium tubes within as well. And the second hand we have is quite thin tritium tube towards the end, and then a larger counterweight. They're all polished, very well made. Everything's really highly polished actually on the dial. Really good polished finish, and it offsets nicely against the whole watch case, and bracelet is all brushed. So to have the highly reflective properties of the dial, it creates quite a nice contrast between the two, which is good. So the tritium tubes are rated at T25. As you can see on the bottom, you'll notice it says T25, and also on the case back it says a little bit about the tritium as well. T25 refers to how many millicuries of tritium are in each tube, and these ones will last 25 years. With a half-life of 12.5 years. So they will glow constantly, but they will only last 25 years. So they will very gradually reduce in light. The thing is with tritium is that it doesn't work the same way as a standard lume. So they don't charge at all, they're completely self-powered. But you also don't really notice them in the daylight. I mean, I'm sure you agree that you hardly even notice that they're glowing at all in daylight. You can only really see it when it is actually half light to full darkness. And also it's only when your eyes are adjusted that you will actually notice them. But when you do notice them, you're in the right circumstances, and they glow really well and do an excellent job of being able to see the time. Regarding the tubes, they are reasonably large, so they do a good job of being able to tell the time, and obviously the hands are even larger as well, so you can differentiate between each hand, so that's good. So thinking about the case itself, it is reasonably big, 44mm diameter. It's 12.1mm tall as well, with a lug to lug length of 51.5mm, and then the bracelet is 22mm wide, going down to 20mm at the buckle. So I've got a 7.5 inch wrist, and for me I think it fits pretty well, especially due to the shape of the lugs. They really help because they hug the wrist really well, and it is a very comfortable watch. It is pretty heavy considering it's got a lightweight quartz movement. It starts off weighing 180 grams, which is quite a lot for a quartz watch. Obviously, if you take a few links out of the bracelet to resize to your wrist, then it will reduce in weight, but it does give the sense of a really high quality watch, mainly because this excellent bracelet, which I really love, but we'll move on to that after we've thought about the case for a moment. So the bezel is only 2mm wide, so obviously 44mm diameter. It means that sorry, it's not. Is it 2mm? Yeah, it's 2mm. So the dial itself can be 40mm. So the dial does a lot of the talking in this watch. The finishing is all brushed, as I mentioned before, and the brushing is really high quality. You can really tell that it's decent finishing. Yeah, very good. The crown is located at 4, and it's a screw-in crown. You can just unscrew it, pull it out to reset the time, and then push it back in. So that thread is really high quality as well. The whole case is really excellently made, and you can tell how well machined it is. Nice thick grip on the crown, and we have the Nite icon very deeply engraved on the end as well, which is good to see. Sorry. Looking at the case back, it's quite interesting as well. They haven't done anything boring with it at all. So we have the nice big Nite logo in the back, in the center, and then some details about the tritium. And then surrounding that, we have these quarters set out by each logo in each quarter, and then some details around the outside as well. So so it's a really interesting case back, which is nice to see. Screw in, obviously. So the fact that these two are screw in means that it has a fairly decent water resistance, being 100 meters or 10 ATM. The crystal is a mineral crystal. Now it's K1 mineral crystal, so it's not your normal mineral crystal. And I know obviously this may put many people off, but the fact is K1 mineral crystal is the highest grade of mineral you can get, and it's almost as scratch resistant as sapphire. So it's still very unlikely that you will scratch it. If you read our review, we've put a link to the Nite video that they posted on YouTube about testing the K1 crystal, scratching it with keys, a knife, and all sorts, and it seems to hold up well. So I don't think you are likely to damage it. So, and also K1 crystal is used by a number of other hard-wearing watch manufacturers. So it's obviously a good reason behind that, and it seems to be used quite regularly. The fact is it has mineral crystals better shatter-resistant properties than sapphire crystal. Also better clarity. I mean, you can see that the crystal is very clear than sapphire, and with this extra high scratch resistant property of the K1, I think it's a really good choice in this instance. So that's the case. If we move on to the bracelet, you'll notice that it's has H links, very much like a Hamilton would do, and the links are all very thick, very well made. I'm a real sucker for nice big thick well made bracelets, and this is a really excellent one. It's very comfortable. On the underside you can see it's all nicely brushed, and it fits the wrist very well thanks to it being very malleable as well. So they've really done a good job with this bracelet. The lugs fit the case the end links fit the lugs perfectly. You can barely see a gap there, so it's excellent. And then the buckle as well is very high quality. It's a double locking buckle, so you have one lock there, then press the two tabs to open it again. That's the second lock, and it just feels really high quality and very secure and sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's going to come off anytime soon at all. And it's good to have such a comfortable bracelet on a watch this size, weighing this much. So yeah, they've done a really good job with the bracelet. Personally, I think it's a really nice design as well with the H links. I think it looks excellent. Okay, so just thinking about the movement for a moment, it's a Ronda 513. Pretty much their most standard quartz movement, has no complications such as no date. It's literally just tells the time and that's it. Offers about 4 years battery life and an accuracy of around 30 seconds a month, give or take, plus or minus. So it's fairly standard quartz movement. Obviously it's Swiss made, so they've mentioned Swiss movement on the bottom of the dial there, and also on the case back. We can see it there, Swiss movement. So I think in this kind of watch, it gives the impression of being a real ready to go, give me anything kind of attitude. And with a quartz movement, I think it's probably the correct choice, because the watch also feels like it can take quite a bashing and be used quite roughly, and with a quartz movement, obviously, that suits that well. Okay, so let's just put the macro lens on and we'll have a look at it in closer detail. So if we start with the dial, here's the Nite. As you can see, it's pretty much flawless. And if we move up to the numbers, again, very well machined and perfectly applied, and the polished finishing is pretty spotless as well. So that's really quite impressive. Have a look at the printing. Even though there's not much printing, when it has got printing, it's all very accurate as well. No smudging or anything like that. So if we have a look at the hands now, see it's highly polished. See the tritium tubes as well. And there's the second hand going around with its tube in. Have a look at these tubes along the outside as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the machining of the case now. Here we go, you can see the brushing is all very uniform, very high quality. There's the edge of the bezel as well, linking up to the edge of the crystal perfectly. And if we move on to the crown, you can see the Nite icon, very deep, etched in the end. And then the grip, it's all very well machined and finished. Then if I unscrew it, just have a look on the inside. Nice big, thick thread on that. Okay, so if we just have a quick look at the case back now. Everything on the case back is very nice and deep as well. So it's nice to see when you have nice deep inscriptions on your watch, because it gives you the sense that it's really good quality. And then just the bracelet, we see the finishing on that as well is very uniform. Look at the side. And then the underside. Okay, and then finally the buckle. See the Nite logo nice and deep at the top of the buckle, which is good to see. And if I shut it, that's the top. Then the button at the side. So the buckle, you know, in general feels very sturdy and secure, which is good. Okay. So the Nite icon is their latest offering, and I think it's a slightly different design to what they usually go for. This seems to me a little bit more aviation themed, whereas usually they're into military and tough, rugged watches or divers watches. So I think it's good for them to have this different approach and something extra for their selection of watches. So if you like the design, I highly recommend it, because it is excellently finished, excellently made, and it's good to have a tritium watch. You know, it's something a little bit different, and especially being that, you know, this one is quartz, it'll be always ready to go in your watch box. So there you go. This was the Nite icon, and that's what it's all about.